It's Commical by Chasing Albert.
Hi everybody and welcome back to Commical. I know it's been a bit of a long break, but we're back with a slightly different format and a wonderful first guest who you can see right here. Phil, hello, how are you?
Hello, how is everyone?
So Phil is the CEO of Influencing and MediaConnect group. And anybody if you've never heard of those before, you're obviously not in media or PR because they're both tools that the entire industry depends on in Australia day in and day out. Massive credit to you, Phil, for building something so amazing. You've worked in media, journalism, and you've been an entrepreneur for over 30 years.
Yep, I think 25 years this year for Influencing and MediaConnect, and I was a journalist for about 7 years before that, so over 30 years.
It's amazing. And actually, over 30 years then when you were a journalist is probably when we met.
Yeah, it would have been. We go back a long way.
A long way. And remind me where you were writing. I can't remember now.
So I was at IDG and I started on Computer World was my...
That's right. Were you editor there at one stage?
No, so I was news editor, and then I went over to Network World where that was my first editing job, and then took over ARN. So
amazing. I always remember you as being the one person we could have a really good, from a PR perspective anyway, you could expect a response, a direct one, and no bullshit. Yes was yes, no was no. Work harder was work harder.
I am pretty straight to the point.
So that hasn't changed, huh?
No.
Has it served you well in business?
Yeah, I think people appreciate clarity, and so I think that the worst thing you can do is not be honest with people. If people get an honest answer from you, they generally appreciate that, regardless of what it is.
No, I agree with that completely. So I feel like I know you pretty well. Well enough as someone who's worked with you on and off over 30 years. But to help everybody else get to know you, I'm going to ask you some quick questions, 10 questions, quick answers, first thought that pops into your head.
That could be dangerous.
It could, it might be. And I haven't told you these questions. So some of them you might go, what the hell is that? But anyway, roll with it. Okay. Work with me.
Okay, let's go.
Let's start light. Dogs or cats?
Cats.
Do you have cats?
I did have a cat as a kid. So yeah, I like cute.
Yeah, I agree. They are cute. Okay. We'll know you're angry when?
I stop smiling.
Okay, so you always smile, pretty much?
I pretty much have two modes, smiling or not.
Oh, that's awesome. For me, it's talking or not talking. If I'm quiet, I'm pissed or confused, one of the two. All right, first impression people have of you, and are they right?
I think you should ask the people having the first impression. I don't know. How do you tell what people are thinking? I think I come across as pretty bubbly and friendly, and I think I am pretty friendly. So yeah,
people tell you that?
Yeah.
I can't even remember what I first thought of you, Phil, but obviously it wasn't terrible because I invited you on the podcast.
Yeah.
A word or phrase you overuse?
100%.
Yeah, okay. I think that everyone of our generation probably says that 100%. The advice you were given that you once dismissed but live by now. Is there anything like that? Could be business, parenting, anything.
I don't know if I dismissed it. I came to appreciate it. So one of the things I was very fortunate when I was editing ARN, which is a technology business publication, was to get to interview a lot of entrepreneurs. And Scott Frew was one of the bigger identities in Channel, said you need a vehicle to be able to do anything. There's no good having ideas unless you've got some type of vehicle to and I didn't get that until I started my own company, and the appreciation of having something to action whatever ideas you have. That was probably it.
Very true, isn't it? The role you would suck at?
Anything related to attention to detail.
You don't need attention to detail in your job? Come on. Oh, that's what staff are for, is it?
100%.
Very true. True that is mine. What I say way too much. True that. The last thing you asked AI?
Um, I use AI a lot. I don't know. I think the last thing I was doing with AI was getting feedback on a technology architecture plan I was putting together.
Was it good feedback?
Well, we'll see.
Time
2
will
years down the
tell.
track, whether it falls over or not, then I can tell you.
100 grand later in investment. And then you're like, shit, I shouldn't have listened to it. Have you ever lost it in a meeting?
Um, yeah, so when I was made redundant, I bawled. That was a turning point for me, professionally and personally, because I was kind of I thought I was a bit of a golden child at the company I was at, and
Mm.
then to get the rude awakening that I was expendable, I cried, and yeah, I lost it. So
Oh, Phil, you are amazing though. You won several awards and you are always highly regarded in the industry. It sucks when redundancies take place, hey?
yeah, I was like, I kind of left journalism at that stage.
Mm.
So it was during the .com era, and
Oh.
like what was painful to me was like the strategy that we went down, I didn't agree with, and I argued against, and the
Mm.
strategy didn't work, and I was a victim of the strategy I didn't really believe in. So that also, I guess, led me to becoming an entrepreneur and deciding that I needed to own my own destiny.
How interesting. Did you think when that happened, shit, I should have just stayed in journalism?
No, no. I love business. I love the thinking that goes behind just
Mm.
constantly trying to solve problems, and just the first, I guess, I, as an editor, you are quite involved in the business anyway. So I really enjoyed that side of it, and yeah, I kind of felt like I'd done a lot of what I needed to do in journalism.
Mm.
So yeah, it actually went the other way of going. I love this business stuff, and I want to do more of that.
That's awesome.
Mm.
Blessing in disguise then.
100%.
Don't worry, Squadcast has a tool where I can just look up 100% and replace it with something else or cut it out. All right, just two more. What's a skill you have that has nothing to do with your job?
Nothing to do with my job. Um, I don't know. I am like I have the ability to do a lot of stuff at a mediocre level. Like, so I play instruments really badly. I play a lot of sports, but not particularly at an outstanding level. So I have a broad skill base, but yeah, probably business is and journalism is where I do well. So
Public speaking or colonoscopy?
I love public speaking. I love it.
Do you?
Uh, yeah. So I think my my I got to do a bit of it as an editor, and then when I started the business, so we do a big awards event, and for our first event, we hired Elliot Goblet, who was a
Oh,
comedian
yeah.
back in the
Gaming
day.
writer.
Very no.
No?
So he was like a deadpan comedian, delivered everything very deadpan.
Who
Used
was
to be
I
on Hey
thinking? I
Hey
was
at
thinking of
Saturday.
Elliot. There was an Elliot who wrote in Tech, right?
Yeah, that was Elliot Fish. So this
There you
was
go.
Elliot Goblet,
Yep.
and it didn't go down very well. And I was like, I can do a better job at that. And so I
Oh,
posted
because comedy's so easy, eh?
so I
We
posted the last 23 awards after that. And A, I'm a lot cheaper, and B, I do think I do a better job.
That's true. And also everyone in the industry just loves seeing you up there. And you did do a good job. I've been to your awards
Thank you.
and I went to your conference as well last year. That was a great conference.
Yeah. We do events very well, and I think that's understanding your community and kind of what they need, and that's the core to doing good events, I think.
When's your next one?
So we have our Tech Leaders Forum coming up in August. So yeah, that's doing very well at the moment. That's what I'm passionate about, because very much believe journalists do better journalism by having deeper understanding. So it's all about journalists stepping away from the reporting to just learn and do relationships. So yeah, I always enjoy that event.
So you're running a business, a big business. You've just launched in India.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a beautiful family. You do a lot of things badly on the side as hobbies. And then a couple of years ago, something pretty big happened in your life. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so too long didn't read. I found out I was adopted. So that was definitely a life-changing moment, one should say. So a letter rocked up in the mail and opened it up, and yeah.
So who wrote to you?
So my birth mother's husband. So after my birth mother passed, the family had. So he was one of only 3 people I think that knew. And so after my mother passed, he got the family together and said, "This is the situation. Is everyone comfortable trying to find him?"
Oh, wow.
Took a long time for them to find me. But yeah, eventually did. And so he wrote this big long letter. He surmised or thought I would have known that somehow, but I didn't know. So when I read the letter, it didn't kind of make sense because he made those assumptions. So he started talking about
Ah.
your mother and this. I was like, that's not my mother. And really, initially, just thought it was a scam. And I'd actually put it back in the envelope, and I was going to return to sender. And
Wow.
yeah.
And then?
So well, then I started thinking about it and the phrasing and everything. And they'd included some photos, like envelopes with photos in it, and one said your mother, your siblings, and so at that point, when I worked that out, I concluded it wasn't a scam. At that point, I thought, because someone's gone to a lot of effort, it would have been a very elaborate scam at that point. I thought they'd just got the wrong person, so that's why I was going to package it all back up and return to sender. And as I thought on the phrasing that was used, I thought, are they saying I'm adopted? Is that what is happening here? And so I opened up the photos and showed it to my wife and passed her a picture of my mother, and she said, "Phil, that's your mother." Like instantly saw the resemblance, and yeah, then I guess I had to start taking it seriously at that point, and my mind's doing. I actually remembered a time when I was in primary school, and a rumor had gone around the school that myself and my sister were both adopted, and I'd asked my dad. I said, "Dad, everyone's saying I'm adopted," and he said, "What would it matter, son, if you were?" Good answer. And I didn't pursue it at that point at all. I just thought
Wow.
that was fair enough, and yeah, so that came back into my memory, and then I went into journalist mode and started researching and googling and trying to find out if all the stories stood up, and it did. So
Over what period of time was that? So you got the letter and you were researching. At that point, you hadn't contacted them back?
no, so to the point, I guess I needed a primary source to confirm. uh, so my sister's like 20 years older than me, so
Yeah.
my assumption is my parents had my sister, weren't able to conceive after that, so eventually decided to adopt. So I called my brother-in-law actually, and who I was the page boy
Oh, that's
at their
cute.
wedding. That was
That's
like the
cute.
age group, and he said. So I said, strange question, I know, but are my parents actually my parents? And the phone just went silent, and
Oh,
I knew at that moment, I kind of my head dropped, and that's when it all went. Okay, this is real. So
why
yeah,
did you ask your brother-in-law and not your parents or your sister?
I'm not, so my parents have passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
and my sister's doing it a little bit tough. So I thought he would be the most accurate um, and probably easier to ask, given that he wasn't kind of direct family that would have known.
And then what did he say? When there was silence, who broke the silence?
Uh, he said it's probably not my place to say. He said, and I said, who else knows? And he said, your younger sister, Sarah, my younger sister knows. Now that blew my brain because she's younger than me, and so I didn't know how she knew, and that, and now it's something that my family has kept from me at this point, which
Yeah.
was as much of a difficult thing to take on as just
Yeah.
finding out. It was like everyone's known this and not told me about it, and like that still blows my brain today.
How did those thoughts and feelings affect what you did next? Like, did you have to sit in them? Did you just go fire on and just do what you had to do?
Again, I went journalist mode. So I just had to find as much as, so I called my sister, called my nephew, called my, like, pretty much, and at this point I'm realizing everybody knows about this.
Yeah.
I'm literally the only one in, because I've very small family. My parents moved out from England,
Uh-huh.
and so left most of the family behind. So I kind of only got this, ironically, had this very small nuclear family, and yeah, so it was about trying to understand the facts and understand, and so my, I guess, stepfather, who wrote the letter, he had offered to come down and take me through it. He said, if you're interested in kind of finding out, and he's happy to come down. So um, I'm trying to remember if I called or texted him. I think I texted him back and said, oh, so that's what happened. So I texted him back and said, I received your letter. I need some time to process this, and I'll be in touch. And I guess when I look at everything, the fact that I took my time with everything is probably the thing that I'm glad that I did. I think it's probably, as you get older, I'm quite an impulsive, do things at the moment, and I guess that never works out very well. So I've learned through a lot of trial and error, many errors, to slow down, and I think that helped me a lot to process things, and I only move when I was ready to move at any particular point.
It's so funny you say that, because the question I was going to ask you was, what would 20-year-old Phil have done? Would he have had the wisdom and the experience to know that, hang on, I'm just not going to say or do much right now until I figure out and get on top of my thoughts and my feelings?
Yeah, I don't know. I barely remember 20-year-old Phil. You know, I'd have liked 20-year-old Phil to remember, to have known, because I'd have got to meet my mother, which is something that I won't ever have the chance to do. But yeah, I have always tended to speak before thinking, so I probably would have not handled it as well.
So then what did you do? Did you get to meet this family? Tell me about what the first communication with them was like.
Yeah, so John came down, and we met at a local hotel, had coffee. He told me all of the story. I think his first thing was, well, I'd be able to recognize you in a crowd. So there is very much a kind of family resemblance with my mother and her side of the family particularly. And yeah, so yeah, he took me through that. He's a lovely man, like lovely man, and that gave me a lot of, I guess, took a lot of the fear out of the situation. And like, he was like, if only I'd have known, I would have absolutely have adopted you if I'd have had that opportunity. And it was so lovely. So
Oh, how sweet.
yeah.
Where was he? Where was your family?
So
Where
they're
were they
great.
living, your birth family?
So so my family are Queensland farmers. So a little town called Muttaburra, which is literally the most central town in Queensland. So it's kind of north of Longreach. So it's like, I guess that was the other thing to try and take in, is how different my life could have been. It's like
Wow.
growing up on a cattle station versus life down here in Sydney. Like, they're completely different lives, you know.
And John didn't know, like, when did John find out?
So John found out not long after. So he'd been dating. I don't know. He'd been dating my mother. He went overseas, and then she ended up dating my father. And when he came back, they started dating again, and eventually she told him. And yeah, so he said, he said, I've known about you your entire life, and it's always been a regret of mine as well that
Oh.
we kind of never got to know you. So yeah.
So then what happened, Phil? Did you tell me about,
Yeah, so then
did
then
you
I,
meet them?
yeah, so then we so I found out just before Christmas, and so went up in early January, and met the majority of my family, and it
So did
was.
you just rock up, or was there something? Was there a, hey guys, this is Phil? Like, did you call, text? Did you?
So John organised, said, if you're open to it, we'd love to have you up. Your brothers and sisters would like to meet you. And so yeah, we kind of drove up with the family and walked in.
Your
That
whole
was
family? You took the whole family?
yeah. No, two of my children. My oldest son couldn't go, and my wife. And yeah, that was one of the most nerve-wracking drives to destination, and then walking in. But yeah, also one of the most magical moments at that point. So I met my eldest brother and my sister, and both of them started crying, and I
Oh my
cried.
God.
And yeah, it was quite a it was a lot in like the first couple of minutes of meeting them, and the emotion around that was pretty surreal.
Could you plan for that? Did you plan? Did you have an idea of what you would go in saying
No.
or talking about? I'll share this, I'll ask that. Or did you just go, I'm just going to take this one step at a time?
Yeah, obviously it was a big thing for the entire family, because not everyone thought that um, they should make contact with me, because obviously my mother had made a conscious decision to not tell people about me. So some people in the family thought that those wishes could be respected. So there was and that's been a kind of, I guess, a complication that
Mm.
never kind of still is part of the situation. Um, and yeah, no, again, I was nervous, but I overthink everything. I probably didn't overthink that. There was, it my other favorite expression is, "It is what it is," and I think I was able to very much take that mindset into that. However it played out, it was going to play out, and not a lot I could do or should do probably at that point to influence it.
So how did you feel walking in there? I bet anxious, scared. Like, how would you label it? What were you feeling?
Yeah, nerves, as I said, um, but it's funny. I felt connected like almost immediately, and
Did you?
yeah, I did. Um, like, I don't know if that's me wanting to be connected or whatever, but I felt connected to these people almost immediately, and yeah, it was a really special day.
How amazing. And you've gone on to find out, haven't you, that there's a lot more that connects you to your family than you thought, right?
Yeah, so I guess the process has gone So that's there's uncovering of a lot of things. So that's my mother's side. I've also had my father's side, and so
Is your father around still?
yes. So I got to
Oh,
meet.
wow.
So that was the big thing for me. So I guess I went through, the whole experience being ups and downs. My
Mm,
hardest day was Mother's Day,
mm,
because I had to grieve two mothers
yeah.
at that point, and I felt a bit guilty to my mum that I was grieving for another mum, and I think of all the periods that I struggled, that was the hardest.
Yeah.
And I was cognizant of that in terms of reaching out to my birth father, because I was very close to my dad. He was, um, um, and so I didn't particularly want to rush into having that conflict again, and particularly because
Mm,
he was alive. And so it's very easy to react to something, and just because, and I feel, I'm good at reacting to things because I problem solve well, and so I've always rated my own ability to react to anything. But when I had to be the one to reach out, and to make the outreach, that is so much harder. And it took me nearly 2 years to
did
kind of,
it?
yeah. So,
Wow.
you know that was both, again, dealing with that, um, you know,
Mm,
uh, and again, when I've talked about um, being patient, and not doing anything until I felt ready. Yeah, and I felt ready in the most ridiculous way. This is part of my ADHD brain. Um, I, I was having to be out in the backyard picking up sticks because we just had a windstorm, and there were sticks everywhere. So I couldn't mow the grass until we'd done that. And I got so bored of picking up sticks, I was literally looking for anything else to do. So I said, right, I'm going to call my dad.
that's brilliant. So, so are both your dads around, or it's
No,
your
no,
birth dad now that you've?
yes.
Okay, all right. So you're picking up sticks, and to get out of picking up sticks, you're like, yeah, I'll do something else. I'll just pick the biggest thing that I've been kind of mulling over for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And you literally picked up the phone and called?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things, so I kind of, again, journalist mode, found his phone number in a stock cat, because he's on the land as well. And so I found what I thought was his mobile, but I couldn't know it was his mobile because I didn't want to jump into, hi, I'm your son, and it's some other guy.
Yeah.
um, so thankfully, when he answered, he said, hi, this is Ross, and which is my father's name. And I went, apologies to drop this onto you, but I don't know any other way to do it. But I recently found out I was adopted, and I believe you're my father. And he went, oh, right. And so all these conversations, I've gotten used to interpreting silences. So it was obviously a big uh, shock and surprise for him. So I didn't know whether he knew about me. So he did. Um, and he said, I'd always wondered if I'd get this phone call.
Was that
And
the first thing he said after, oh, right?
um, no, probably not. I think I introduced myself, and he asked a few questions along those lines, and asked about, kind of my family and how I'd found out. And then, yeah, he said, I think when it started to settle in, I said to him, I know, and he said he had never told a single person, not one
Oh
single
my
person in the
God.
world knew. So I said, look, I think you should just go away and let it sit with you. And if I'd like to get to know you, and if you'd like to get to know me, please get back in touch. And yeah, 48 hours later, he sent me a text saying he was keen to thing. And then I got to meet him just after Christmas, almost same timing, really.
This
But
Christmas, after
yeah,
this,
yes,
so
just
Christmas 2025. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was amazing too. He came, he'd seen his daughter who lives down south, and on his way, so he lives in Armidale. On his way through, he dropped in, and So I had a good chat with him for a couple of hours, and then my family came out. We had family lunch, and yeah, it's really nice. Lovely man too. I've been really fortunate that I have really nice people in
Oh,
my
that's
family.
beautiful, Phil. That's awesome. Um, it took you 2 years to call him, but did you, over those 2 years, think about what you'd say if you did?
Yeah, I those first words of like how do you tell someone that you
Yeah.
potentially, well, no, I was almost, I knew he was my father, so it wasn't um, questioning whether it was the case, but it was like, how do you break that to
Mm.
someone? So yeah, I did think about that, and it was probably one of the things that why it was 2 years because I never quite felt comfortable that I had that down. So, and in the end, I just said, and I think going in with I don't know how to say this in any other way was very um, truthful of the situation, because I had
Mm.
tried to think about how to say
Honesty.
it, and
Yeah.
you can only just, yeah, as we talked about right at the first instance, you just got to say things and be honest as you can, I think.
And were those words what you thought and had planned to say? Or did you have something big and elaborate and then you'd bounce to something else? Or did it just come to you in the moment?
No, probably the last 7 sticks that I picked up, I'd come up with that plan.
That's
Honestly.
wild. Did you think about, when you were thinking about what you'd say to your dad, were you thinking about the way John had wrote to you and the way he approached things and reflect on, well, that was big news. He did this right. Was there anything you took from that?
No, I think one of the things, I think as a journalist, and whether you're in the industries I'm in comms and journalism, you put a lot of effort into trying to, you maybe delude yourself a little bit that the way you express something
Mm.
matters a lot, and sometimes the facts and what is the content of the message, just, it doesn't matter how you deliver it, it's more important than how it's delivered. And I think certainly in that instance, I don't think I think the fact that I just said it as it
Mm.
is, because it is what it is, and doesn't matter what words I used, they accounted for nothing. I'm sure he has no recollection of those words that I used at that point. It's
It's the
only that,
message. Yeah.
well, it's the facts that are
Mm.
underlying, right?
Mm.
And I think when you as a journalist, when you report really big stories, your job is almost to get out of the way of the story. Let the story is what matters, and the more you try and be clever or over communicate, just let the story be.
Mm. Yeah, that's so true. I guess you call them facts. When I think about in my world, it's facts, it's the talking points, it's the proof points, it's the stats, it's the specificity. The content is the specificity, not the necessarily the dressing or the creative way in which you develop you tell it. Do you know what I mean? So, for example, when I think about if I want to get a message across or I want to say something, I think about what the message is, but that's not what I'm saying. That's what I want to get across, and people can understand what I'm trying to get across when I just present them with the evidence or the facts that prove that point. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I kind of think of it as two parts of a process that are quite different. I think I think there's I think when you learn something big, in that first instance, all you're trying to understand is what has happened.
Mm.
And I think the as much as possible, as I said before, get out of the way of helping people to understand the facts and what has actually happened. And then once people have settled with the event or whatever it is that you're trying to communicate, you, as humans, we then look for context. And then that's when you really have to start thinking about who's involved and what messaging they're going to take out, because there's acceptance, and then there's making meaning and understanding out of that.
Yeah.
And so I think, again, going back to journalism and classic journalism, the lead, and this has changed a lot these days, but classic journalism, the lead paragraph is just who, what, where, when, right? That's what we got taught in journalism school 101, right? Because people just need to know the facts, and then you can contextualize and bring in opinions and all of those things. And I think this was very much that, is just get the facts out there, and then we'll think about what comes next.
Did you give any thought to the context of your dad's situation, how he might feel, where he might be, what he might have known, what he might not have known? How much thought, if any, did you give to that?
So I guess part of that was me fact finding. So me wanting to know, did he know, understand how I came to be, not going into too much detail
There's
on
a
that.
bird and there's a bee.
But at that point, I'm doing two things. I'm trying to communicate something to him, but I'm also wanting to understand myself. So again, I guess there's so this conversation went two ways: me trying to introduce myself, but also trying to get to know him and understand his life. One of the things we did was that we both, after we agreed we were going to get to know each other, we both sent each other a great big long email with our respective life stories in it. And so again, that may sound as a very rather impersonal way probably to get to know someone, but for me, it gave me that understanding of the facts and the events and everything that then helped me make meaning of it in my own time, rather than if you're having a conversation and someone's telling you about their life story, you're struggling to make meaning and accept facts at the same time. So that two-part
worked for you.
process really
Yeah.
worked for me.
Yeah.
And I think for him as well.
So what did you learn? I know that there's some similarities, right? You've got some people in the media. Is that on your dad's side?
Yeah. So my aunt and uncle both also lovely people, and so my aunt Pixie was the first one, because so she'd adopted her child, and so she felt quite connected to the story herself, because she'd gone through an adoption on the other side of that. And so Dad said, yeah, Arnie's really excited about the whole story and thing, and kind of really wants. So she called up out of the blue and said, "Hi, it's Pixie." I'm like, "Pixie,
How big is this family?
Dad's sister." Oh, right. Um, and then my uncle Dave called, and he came from very, and I so appreciated a very particular angle of, thought you might like to know a bit about your lineage, and because like he'd found out, and he knew quite a bit about the history, and so he thought I'd be interested in these coincidences, I guess. So yeah, my great uncle launched Australia's first broadcast monitoring, like statistics and metric and kind of ratings and stuff. And
No way.
I run a broadcast monitoring platform.
That is
So it's like
just
the same business, but literally, 30, 40 years ago. So that was wild. And then I think, as you said at the top of the program, we've been launching into India, and so we're all involved in. So I've been, like, I know all my Indian media now and all the newspapers and everything. And it's my father's 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 mother's father was a a missionary that went over to England and went over to India. And amongst the amazing work he did over there, he founded India's first native language newspaper. And so it was just like, yeah, I,
That is
I found both coincidences wild.
Well, both coincidences are wild, but what is also wild is you tracking down or finding out what your grandfather's mother's mother. Like, how many how many generations back did you go? How the hell did you even get that
No,
information?
so so my uncle Dave knew about that.
Right.
So like I only had to look him up, and then, but then I was trying to map the family tree and like, you know, when you go to school and in like kindergarten or whatever, and they say do your family tree, and
Yeah.
my poor grandchildren are in for one hell of a task when they get that side of the family. Because like there's a lot of ministers in there, so they all had very big families.
What do you mean
Um,
ministers? Like religious
like
ministers
religious
or
ministers, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So there's lots of divergent paths and stuff in there. So it was a very interesting family tree, and again, I had the most boring family tree in the entire world growing up. It was like, one of my family tree, here it is.
3
didn't come,
branches. There you go.
didn't take a lot of work.
That is crazy. And so how are things now? Are you settled into your new identity, your new life, your new family?
Yeah, it's still an ongoing process, and like as I said, like that the complication of, you know, and one of the things that was the most complicated part of the communication side of it was, um, appreciating it's not just my story, like it's my mother's story, it's my father's story, it's all the people that connected to those
Yeah.
people share that story. And you know, my first instance as a journalist was just to write, and I did that, and I'm very grateful that I took the time to just write my feelings, and so one day there's a chapter in my memoir for sure on this, um, and I'll have those notes to go back to. But um, again, as a journalist, I just want to break the news. It's just like, where can I break the news? And I was a bit annoyed that Facebook was really the only canvas to tell the story, because I'm not the hugest Facebook fan.
Yeah.
Um, but like, how where else you tell a story like that? And I probably wrote 4 or 5 drafts of that initial post, and
Yeah.
every time going, well, what's this person going to think about it, and what's that person, and you know, going to your comms background where you've got multiple stakeholders.
Yeah.
In this instance, there's different parts of the family
How
are
is this
probably
going to make
feeling
them
different
feel?
things, and
Exactly.
all of that. My family,
Mm.
how is my sisters and going to react to it, and that part of the family, and my friends that have grown up around me, and to go, wow, you know. So um, having to think about the audience and break it down and try and be sensitive to all of those people and what they were all feeling, was probably the most challenging part of it. And then, like, that's been an ongoing process, and in some ways everyone's conscious of that. So it's just not like, you know, here's Phil, he's part of the family. Everyone's kind of wants to treat it's, and so I've almost stayed a secret in some ways. It's
Yeah.
like not, you know, news is getting out, but it's not like a big announcement. My brother, who's the eldest of my siblings, came down a month or so ago and stayed and spent 3 and 4 days with us, and we took him around Sydney, and he's the not literally the nicest guy in the world, and I connect with him so well. And then he went and put a big face on post on his socials, and it was like, it was almost like an acceptance for me of the
Oh,
like, can talk about this in a broader context. So that meant a lot to me. And yeah, so it's been
that's so
very
nice.
much ongoing process of reveals almost. You know, I think when you reached out to me, like, I've been following your soap opera, and it's literally felt like
Because I saw it on LinkedIn. It
yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
Facebook.
yeah. Well, that, I guess, So I initially wrote to Facebook, and of course you have this overlapping audience of friends and business, and because my business has always been very community, it's very about, it's a digital business, but it's always had this human, about making connections. So I'm friends with so many people that I work with, and like people, you know, I'm very close to, and so I've got this overlap of people that, you know, I know some people don't have those two worlds are different, but for me, they're very much similar. So after I put the message on Facebook, I had people asking about it and not sure if they could ask about it, and there was
Yeah.
an uncomfortable part. So I thought, I'm just going to tell my business network this story, so it's out there. People feel more comfortable doing it. And then so I had to decide how to tell that story in a different way. And I didn't want to do this is what I learned about B2B marketing by finding out the doctor.
And this is what you too can learn and how to apply it to your business.
So that one was interesting because like I felt obliged in some way. So influencing has kind of pivoted to talk about about video being the most powerful mechanism of storytelling, right? So we tried to we literally rebuild our whole platform around video and to enable PRs and journalists to exchange rich media content rather than just words. And it's been my spiel on LinkedIn for the last 6 months. And so when I started writing, and naturally I'm going to write something, right? Because that's what I've always done as a journalist. I was like, hang on, Phil, you keep talking about videos, so make this a video content. So yeah, I just pressed record and told the story, and it I don't want to say it went viral, but
it blew up.
it reached a lot of people, and you know, and it was. I very much believe in authentic communication. I think if I say both personally and the way I communicate, I just try and be myself, because I don't know. To be honest, I don't know how to be anything else, and but so yeah, just pressing record and just telling the story. And I did kind of lose it halfway through a little bit, but I think.
You can't lose it now. Give me a clip to
I'm
promote that. Come on, let's go. Come on.
so well. I have
Do it.
done so well. Keep it
Damn
together.
you for holding it together, Phil.
You're not asking the right questions, Marie.
I know.
Yeah. So I had. Well, it was interesting because, like, again, and because my followers are all journalists and PR people, so like within 2 days, I had ABC Longreach call up and say, "Do you want to?" And I didn't feel. I said, "Let me think about it," because again, that's putting the story out into my family's community, and without me having a lot of control over it, and so I wasn't ready at that point. So you have the exclusive here, Marie. This is the first time.
Okay, so there's two sides to this. I'll take the compliment and thank you for giving me the scoop, but there's also the fact that you believed, well, no one's really going to listen to this, right? So what's the big deal? Did you feel nervous about sharing this story or coming onto Commical, even though it's a smaller audience? Did you still think, oh?
Yeah, I'm very aware of the sensitivity. It's like, and ultimately I want to build a relationship with my family. That's so when we talk about outcomes, beyond any communication is secondary to me wanting to explore this side of me and these people who are connected to me. So the last thing you want to do is inadvertently say something that someone finds offensive or takes offense to. So that's always been very deliberate as to how I've communicated and so forth.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I really love hearing that you factor in the different people that are involved, because words do have power, and the way you communicate can impact other people. It's not just about, I'm just going to go do something and tell a story and say the first thing that comes to my mind. It's about listening and understanding your audience, not just me as your audience or the listeners as the audience, but also probably the most important audience to you, which is your family, if they were to hear it. Yeah.
And I'm conscious I tend to have two communications modes. So there's Phil the communicator, where I am very deliberate and I'm thinking through, and there's Phil the blah, 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 where I do not do a lot of thinking and I just talk, and so this is kind of maybe in between the two.
I think you've been really thoughtful. No, I think you've been. I think, maybe without you realizing it, perhaps you've been thinking so much and with so much care about how to talk about this that actually, in many ways, you were very prepared for this conversation.
I'll take that as a compliment.
You're welcome. Are there cousins now in the picture? Do your kids have cousins? How big have things gotten in your family?
So when I went up to meet my siblings, I also met a cousin, and that story is one of the most amazing. So he's also adopted, and
Your cousin is also adopted?
So my mother's sister adopted my
Okay.
cousin.
Yeah.
So my mother's sister's adopted son, and he found out, and was quite upset. And to make him feel better, my mother told him that she had a child and given him up. And he didn't tell anyone, any of my brothers or sisters or anyone, his entire life. And so when he got to meet me, and he gave this like one of the most touching speeches I've ever heard in my life, about how he'd known about me all his life and never been able to tell anyone. And so for it now to come out and him being able to share that with everyone was something that he just was so grateful to have that opportunity. So yeah, there's all these stories that are like not even directly related, that and then when I said it's other people's stories as well, so
yeah, that's so true.
yeah.
Why do you think your mum so she told him to feel better, right? Did it make, like, how does he remember if it worked, what it made him think, like, or what she said?
Yeah, just like, you're not alone. This is not, you're not, like, this is something that happened during that time. And yeah, so I haven't gone into how that made him feel specifically, but I have a great relationship with him too. Ironically, we were gonna, because he does radio as a hobby, so we were gonna do a podcast on this. If this works, we might have to pick that up.
That's amazing. Phil, thank you so much for sharing your story with the podcast you thought no one would listen to. I'm going to go out of my way now, okay, to promote it. No, I really enjoyed it, and it's such a beautiful story, and I'm so happy that you found yourself with two beautiful families.
Yeah, no, it's it has been a gift, and in some ways, losing my parents, it's probably 5 years earlier, that leaves a void, right? And so
Yeah.
it's even more of a gift, because that void of wanting family and has been filled and is overflowing.
Oh, I'm so
somewhat.
happy to hear it. I'm so happy to hear it, and long may it flow for you
Thank you, Marie.
and your family. Thank you so much again. I appreciate it, and I've loved having this chat, and I'll continue to be watching your story unfold. So please do share on LinkedIn. I'm hardly on Facebook. I think we are connected on Facebook, but I'm rarely on there.
Now, I think probably Netflix is the next place it's going to show up.
Listen, if you beat me to Netflix, I'll be gutted, okay? That's like my dream. A stand-up special, surely someone out there will give it to me. Someone, please. All right, mate. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Enjoyed the chat.
I'm glad you did.